Do it. Make your dreams come true. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Wall Street Journal, December 8th, quote, in accepting the deal to cut payroll and business taxes and extend all of the Bush-era tax rates through 2012, as you and I speak, this hasn't been enacted in the Congress, but we're talking about the deal that President Obama cut with Republicans. To continue the quotation, Mr. Obama has implicitly admitted that his economic strategy has flopped. He is acknowledging that tax rates matter to growth, that treating business like robber barons has hurt investment and hiring, and that tax cuts are superior to spending as stimulus. Close quote. You buy every word of that?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Well, but what is painful to me, really, looking back, this argument is not a new argument. This argument was made in the 1920s. People were saying the same thing on both sides they're saying right now. The difference is that 75 years have elapsed, and there have been 4 administrations of both parties that have reduced high income tax rates. Every single time.
Name them.
The Coolidge, Kennedy, Reagan, and George W. Bush.
Right.
Every single time, the reduction in the tax rates has led to an increase in tax revenue. So I hear people on television saying how the government can't afford to give this tax cuts to the rich. You know, not giving anything to anybody.
Right. Here's a question about Ricochet contributor Steve Manasek, quote, it's as close to dogma as there is among conservatives that cutting taxes, particularly marginal rates, spurs economic growth. But Bill Clinton raised taxes, including marginal rates, and the economy boomed. Do tax rates really matter to economic growth? And if they do, how do you explain the Clinton expansion?
I haven't looked at the Clinton expansion, but I know that the Clinton, quote, surplus taxes those laws are passed in Congress. All spending and taxing bills originate in the House of Representatives. Right. And when the House of Representatives is in the hands of the opposite party, I don't know how any president can take any credit for whether there's a surplus or not.
Okay. Milton Friedman defined a surplus as when the money comes in so fast that even Congress can't spend it.
That's true.
Segment 3, healthcare. Let me give you a quotation and a fact. The quotation comes from you in Basic Economics. Quote, a long-standing staple of political rhetoric has been the attempt to keep the prices of medical care reasonable or affordable. Yet the amount of resources required to supply the things we want are wholly independent of what we're willing to pay. It is completely unreasonable to expect reasonable prices. That's the quotation. Here's the fact. The United States devotes 17% of its GDP to healthcare. The next country down in that is Switzerland at about 11% of its GDP. So we devote something like 50% more than the next country down. Now, surely it's not unreasonable to suggest that we're just spending too much.
The question is, when people are spending their own money, I don't know how third parties can say it's too much. Well, ironically, Rahm Emanuel's brother, who's a doctor, has on board for this whole Obamacare thing. But really, he revealed why Americans spend more. Americans don't, when they go to a hospital, they are in private or semi-private rooms more often than in countries on government health care. And so instead of being in a ward, you're in your own private or semi-private room. It costs more. American doctors are more readily available. There is less waiting time. Some people prefer to pay in money and others in waiting time. Now, when you have a painful disease and the government tells you there's a 6-month waiting list, that you're paying in a different way. It doesn't show up in the statistics. But you may not even live the 6 months, depending on what you have.
So we pay more and get more.
That's it.
That's it? That's all there is to it?
That's it.
You don't want to say, but at the same time, our system is terribly inefficient in various ways?
No, it's not inefficient for people to buy what they want.
It has to be more complicated than that.
It's what's inefficient is having third parties decide what you need and don't need. As for example, in Sweden, where and it's not like an insurance company saying they won't pay for it. In Sweden, if they say that you don't need this, you can't pay for it with your own money because they control the whole system. And so your choice at that point is to leave Sweden, which if you're very sick may be a little hard to do, or to have what you need smuggled into you.
Right.